Hola,
Hola,
comadre.
comadre. All right.
So here we are. Okay, who takes over?
I don't know. I think all we have to say right now is if you started with us from the beginning, thank you so much for your patience. We have been
Yes.
figuring it out, trial and error, man. Like that's literally the only way you can do it. From what we found out, we know the sound quality on our last few videos is a little iffy, but we're getting better. We got the equipment. We're testing
We
things
got the
out.
equipment.
Yeah,
We finally figured it out, you guys.
yeah.
We've figured it out. So we got the right combination now. Jenny. My Jenny. Me, Jenny. It is October, you guys.
Yes.
But if you're watching this, we are also feeling the Halloween spirit. And we wanted to do a Halloween episode. So I just want to give a huge shout out to Jenny because she put together today's notes and really just like involved herself in the episode and our culture, and also not just like Mexican culture, but a lot of Latin America. So we have some like a few special notes for you guys. Jenny,
Yeah.
would you like to take over?
Yeah, I'm so excited. I got my little pumpkins. I got my little tapestry. Actually, let me do. Got my little Halloween decorations. So I'm so freaking excited. I have my little tea cauldron. So we're just gonna get into all the cozy vibes, okay? Go light a candle. Go get yourself a little pumpkin snack and fully immerse
Yeah, do
yourself
it.
in this episode. So
Yeah.
yeah, actually, I think Val, you were the one who came up with the idea for the Halloween episode, and I was like, heck yes. Like, let's talk about it. There are different legends that we grew up hearing that I want to talk about. I've always found super interesting. Honestly, I believe some of them to this day. And then after that, we're going to kind of pivot into New Mexico specific scary stories and
Mm-hmm.
ghost stories because, as you all know, we are both from New Mexico and it's
Mm-hmm.
a huge, rich history. And although it was a little boring growing up there during the time frame that we were there because there wasn't as much to do there as there is now, that is something that I'm really proud of. Like anytime people would come to visit me, I would be like, okay, let's go to Messia. Like, let's talk about all the cool history. And honestly, maybe in future
Mm-hmm.
episodes, we could just talk about history too. Like, we're not going to be getting into Billy the Kid today because it's not a ghost story, but I would love to
Mm-hmm.
talk about it. I think that'd be a really fun episode to do.
Yeah,
So let us
that would
know.
be really cool.
Yeah, if y'all want to hear
Yes,
about
yes,
that,
let
give
us
us a thumbs
know.
up on this video and we'll make it for you. So let me take a little
Yeah.
sip of my black tea.
All right,
It's
you
a
guys.
pumpkin spice black tea, if you will.
Yum. All right, you guys. So today we're going to talk about La Llorona. And La Llorona translates to
The
literally like
crier.
verbatim is like the crier. Yeah, but to make it more English, it's the weeping woman. And Jenny, what version did you hear? Because I might have heard a different version.
Yeah. Well, first of all, if you're not Hispanic or Latino, it's pronounced Llorona, not Lorona. Okay, I just have to say that
Yes.
because some people, and I love that some people who aren't Hispanic know about this story. I think that's awesome. But then I hear that I'm like, no, 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 it's Llorona. Anyways, so the version that I heard, and I've heard a few versions, so let me know which one you heard, Val. But basically, the story goes there it was a woman who fell in love with this man. I've heard versions where he's a wealthy man. I've heard versions where he was a military man. And they were together for a while. They had some kids. And then for some reason he traveled a lot. I don't know if that was because of work, because of the military, or again, just because he was a wealthy man. Well, apparently, when he was traveling away, he fell in love with another woman and left. I don't know the name. I don't know La Llorona's name. I'm assuming Maria. That's probably the
Yeah,
version that I've heard.
probably.
Um, so, anyways, she gets extremely upset, so distraught, and in her anger, in her sadness, in her rage, she goes and she drowns her children in the river. And when she drowns them, she realized the severity of what she had done and she then drowned herself. But obviously, before she actually drowned herself, it's said that she would say, "Ay, mis hijos," because she was realizing what she had done. And so the legend says that if you are ever walking out by the river late at night, you might hear the cries of the wailing or the weeping woman, and you might hear, "Ay, mis hijos." The interesting thing about this story is I feel like everybody who I've heard it from is like, no, it happened where I'm from. Because, like, that's
Mm-hmm.
what I heard. Is like, yeah, it happened because, again, Val and I are from Las Cruces, New Mexico, which is about an hour away from El Paso, Texas. So literally right on the border. And I've heard people saying like, "Oh yeah, it happened right here." But then as I've met
Mm-hmm.
people throughout the years and I make conversation with them and I find out they're from Texas or I find out they're from Arizona or wherever or even California, they're like, "Oh no, 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 it happened here." And then I've also heard that it happened in the Rio Grande, like going through Mexico. So
Yes.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
same.
I don't know. So yeah.
Yeah, interestingly enough, you guys, interestingly enough, we have a park in New Mexico called La Llorona Park. So, you guys, I love hashtag New Mexico, love my state, but I'm just like, dang, we really have a whole ass park called La Llorona Park
Yeah.
for a woman that steals kids. I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know if that's just great marketing. Like, we're just
Well,
gonna get some kids here in case she comes up, or what are we?
the funny thing too, and this is going to be a common theme through all of the legends that we talk about today. But a lot of these stories were told to us growing up to prohibit us from wanting to go out and be crazy kids. So, like,
Yeah.
you hear this story and you're like, "Oh, wow, what a creepy story. Like, when did you hear that? When you were a teenager?" And you're like, "No, they like told it to us as a bedtime story so that we wouldn't
Yes.
go out in
Oh
the
my
middle of the
God.
night."
Of the
So,
night.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just kind of funny how casual that is.
So the story, I grew up hearing two different versions because I grew up with the version that my dad told me. And then in elementary school, I actually met an author. His name is John Hikes. And he wrote this book, and it's called La Llorona.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually have a signed copy
Oh,
somewhere in my parents' house.
you should
But
post that on
it's
our
really interesting
Instagram.
because, yes, I
Oh,
should.
wait, it's at your parents'
But
house. Well, it's okay. Anyways,
I'm be
sorry.
like, Mom, look for the book. But in the book, I believe La Llorona, I think her husband cheats on her and she finds
Yeah.
out and she is in a rage. And supposedly, I think her name is Maria. She's like this beautiful, gorgeous woman, and like everybody like lusted over her, wanted her, and so she ends up marrying like this really rich guy. And again, the details I don't remember, but it is in south of the border. It is crossing the Rio Grande, and she's like in such a rage that she like takes the kids and like drowns them, and then she's just in complete denial that she like wakes up and she's like, where are my kids? Like she didn't do this thing. Like she just takes no accountability. They just like went missing.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, where are my kids? And so she's weeping for her kids, and so in trying to like find her kids, if kids are playing by the river, she takes them thinking that those are her kids and then
Yeah.
like drowns them all over again. Or I'm like, guys, I mean, I'm a psychologist. I'm like, lady, like, you, like, what are you
You didn't
doing?
think for like
Repeating
5 seconds?
cycles.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm like, denial. You were just in denial. Oh my God. But that was probably like the version that I heard, and yes, it happened because it's also really known in Mexico, like the story of La Llorona. But I think it is very much a like southern, like a southwest border kind of thing, Rio Grande. And then I definitely don't hear that in Washington.
Yeah.
Like I really don't hear about that, but I do know that Jenny did some research, so there is like the Guatemalan version and
Mm-hmm.
Ecuador version.
Yeah.
So it's just like, what's going on there? Maybe she's looking really far out. Just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna pull up my notes for that because I obviously all I remember is the one that I was told. So I'm gonna look at that here in a second. But super random memory. Have you ever seen the movie Chasing Papi?
No.
You need to watch this movie. Okay, so this movie has Sofia Vergara, like when she was still like up and
Oh.
coming, and I think it was in like the 2000s. And it was such a weird, strange movie. It was like a comedy about this guy who was stringing along three different women. Like he made them all think that he was in an exclusive relationship with one of them. And for
Mm-hmm.
some weird reason, the thing that he was scared of the most was La Llorona. And like there was, yeah, it's like so random. And like there's this one scene where like I think he gets knocked out or something because it's like a
Mm-hmm.
slapstick humor kind of movie where they're like the girls are fighting over him and they're like, no, I'm in the relationship with him, no, I'm the one that he loves, and this and that and blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's waking up after being knocked out, and it's this scene of La Llorona trying to like take him. And I watched that when I was like 8 years old and terrified me so much. Like,
Oh my god.
Sí, sí.
If I ever find out there's another woman, I swear La Llorona will get you.
¿La Llorona?
Did you hear me? Did you hear me?
Yes, of course.
yeah, because I never had a visual. Like, I only heard the stories, and then when I had the visual of what she looked like, I was like, oh my god, what is this? But anyways, if you haven't watched that, you should totally watch it because it's super weird
Okay.
and interesting. Let's go to our notes though and talk about the differences in the story across different cultures, because Mexico is not the only place that this story has been told. Well, actually, before we go into that, just to kind of connect it to where it might have come from in terms of the Mexican side. So I did find out that there are theories about her story being connected to Aztec mythological creation stories. So one of them is actually named the Hungry Woman. So it also includes stories of a woman, a wailing woman who's constantly crying out for food. So I thought that was interesting. So I wanted to put that little tidbit in there. And then the Guatemalan version. So according to this version, there was a woman who had an affair with a lover and became pregnant. So she was already married. And then she gave birth to her child, who she named Juan de la Cruz, and drowned him so that her husband wouldn't find out. Which is kind of crazy, because I'm like, I have so many questions. Like,
What about the belly?
yeah, like how did
Yes,
you hide it for that
yes.
long? Or maybe he was traveling? I don't know.
Yeah.
So then after committing this crime, she was condemned in the afterlife to search for her murdered son in every place that holds a body of water, screaming and wailing. And it is said that the "Ay, mis hijos" that La Llorona usually says is mostly attributed to this story. So I think it's kind of interesting how like these stories, they kind of like intertwine, or maybe like one person had a conversation with another person from a different area and they're like, oh, I've heard that story too. You know what I mean? And then like it just kind of ends up becoming its own legend as time goes on. I've also heard this. I don't know if you've heard this before, Val, but apparently when a person hears the cry from afar, it means that La Llorona is near. And when they hear the cry close by, it means that the ghost is far. So I don't know if you've ever heard that before.
I've not heard that.
Yeah. I thought that
That's
was kind of
pretty
interesting. But yeah. So that was the Guatemalan version. And then the Ecuadorian version, not too much differences here. The main difference is like the name of the story. So there's La Llorona de los Ríos or La Llorona de los Andes. For the most part, the details are pretty much the same. It's just, it takes place in a different area. So usually the story details more information about like rivers and mountains that are in the area of that country instead. And then I did find some stories that were similar that came from Venezuela and Spain, but I couldn't find like too many details about how they differed. So I just wanted to kind of like put a little shout out in there because again, we really don't know where the story comes from. Honestly, I believe it because I've heard, like, even as I'm older, like, I'm not a kid anymore, they're not trying to get me to, like, stay out of trouble. I've heard people say, like, oh, yeah, like, I've seen her, or I've heard her, and I'm like, that's kind of crazy.
Dang, I can think of so many things. There's this meme, I'll post it later, you guys, but it's like when you get so drunk and you see La Llorona that you just start helping her look for her kids. And it's funny, but it's just like, haha, that's funny. You're like, well, where'd you put him? Where'd you leave him? But man, imagine just this sucks. Imagine just being like a ghost and just looking for your kids all over
Yeah.
Guatemala
And
and
just being
Venezuela
stuck.
and just just
The whole planet.
the whole planet. It's like the
Antarctica.
whole world knows you're looking. It's not funny. It's like she comes for us. Like, sorry, my bad. One time, I remember vividly asking my mom, like, what do I do if I see her? She's like, I don't know. That's up to you. Maybe you want to go with her. And I was like, oh my God. I genuinely think my mom used so much reverse psychology on me that I was like, dang. I was like, never mind. I'll just stay home. I'll just stay home.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
I do want to
but
give a little shout out. If you want to hear more stories about La Llorona or just like Hispanic and Latino folklore in general, one YouTube channel that I absolutely love. Her name is Erika Angel, and she tells her subscribers scary stories. So she'll ask them if they've ever had encounters with, La Llorona or other legends like Lechuzas, which if you don't know, that's a witch, which apparently we think that owls are witches, which I believe that. I don't know. It's possible.
It's crazy because when Harry Potter came out, I had heard similar things through my culture that owls were like bad omens.
Yeah.
But then Harry Potter comes out and he's a wizard and his pet is a owl.
Mhm.
So I was just like, I'm like, is there something there? Like,
Yeah.
I wonder
Do
where
they know?
that comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, do you know something that I don't know? But I wonder where that comes from because that was his pet was an owl, and I was like, I wonder if there's like a relationship there.
Yeah.
But then in other cultures, owls are mean wisdom, so I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's like I didn't even know that that was a thing until I started watching her YouTube channel. And then in one of the videos, she also talks about duendes, which are like little, I don't know, like trolls or
Elves?
yeah.
Yeah.
And like apparently they're like terrifying, and there's like all kinds of stories that she tells on her channel. So if you have some extra time and you want to watch some fun YouTube videos for the spooky season, go watch her channel because it's like so interesting and it's so cool to kind of hear the similarities of the different stories too, because a lot of her followers obviously they don't know each other. So I don't know. I just find that really interesting. Let's move on to our next legend, which is El Cucuy.
Let's do it. El Cucuy. I think that's just the equivalent of the boogeyman. Because
Yeah.
I don't really remember anything about El Cucuy other than like El Cucuy is gonna get you.
Mhm.
And I was just like, but what is he? Like, is he like a werewolf? Is he like Bigfoot? Is he like
Right.
Sasquatch? Like, what is this? Is this a he? Is it a she? Like, what
Yeah.
is El Cucuy? But I just remember hearing about him
Yeah.
and not much else.
That's what I was thinking about too when I was doing the research for this episode, because I was getting him and El Chupacabra mixed up. And I was like, isn't he like a creature? But no, apparently he's just like a big man or like a giant.
Okay.
And specifically, I remember this one children's book, which again, I think about that and I'm just like, why were they telling this to us when we were so young?
Yeah.
But there's a specific children's book that I read growing up by Joe Hayes. There's a bunch of little girls in this family. And one of the little girls is very well behaved. She makes sure to do the chores. And she does things around the house when her parents aren't there. And then when they get home from work, they're so proud of her. And then they look at the sisters and they compare them. And they're like, why can't you just be more like your little sister? If you guys continue to be malcriadas, then I'm going to call El Cucuy after you. And they're like, no, please don't. And he starts calling them. He's like, El Cucuy, El Cucuy. And then eventually, as a few days pass by, El Cucuy comes and gets them. I don't know why, but for some reason he has this really big red ear, I'm guessing, so he can like hear them. And he just comes and he takes them and he takes them back to the cave and they're just sitting there. Like, I don't know where he goes after that, but they're just sitting there like starving in the cave and like they're there for days. And eventually this little boy who takes care of goats in the area, he stumbles upon these little girls in the cave and he's able to return them back to their father. And the girls run up to their father and they're like, we're so sorry. We'll never misbehave again. Like please don't ever call El Cucuy on us again. And then I think he ends the book with something like, well, don't give me a reason to. And I'm just like, that's crazy. That's actually crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just think that's wild that we like. I think it's funny looking back, but it's just wild. We're like, yeah, he's gonna kidnap you. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it just okay. That's funny. Yeah, so I remember hearing about El Cucuy, but that one just didn't resonate with me. And I don't feel like I was as interested in that one. Like that one, I just found it a little hard to believe. Like La Llorona, I'm like,
Yeah.
I think that could be legit. I'm like, someone could go crazy and do that. But El Cucuy, I'm just like, this guy's still alive? Like, this
Yeah.
guy, I don't know. I'm like, but also, yeah, the funny fact that we were like threatening children with these stories. It's like, dang, our
Yeah.
culture. Or I mean, like, dang, our culture.
Yeah. Or
Um,
that kind of
um,
reminds me of like the concept of like el hombre. Like I don't know if you've seen these videos. I can't remember the creator's name. If I remember it, I'll put it in the description box. But I want to say his name. No, I don't think it's Marcelo. Marcelo
I think I
is
know what you're talking about, where
SNL
it's
guy.
like when you finally become the man, and it's
Yes.
like that man's
You're
gonna
like
take
at the
you.
grocery store and the kids are misbehaving and there's
Hmm.
just a random stranger who walks by. And then you tell the kids, if you don't start behaving, that man is going to take you.
Gonna take you.
And the creator is
Yeah.
like realizing that he's finally old enough to be the man and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna take you, like trying to scare them, and the kids are like, no, and like literally, I remember that. I remember being told that when I was younger. I'm like, y'all, why were we threatening? Like, I don't know. It's funny, but
That's funny. No, but I've seen that because it's funny that you bring that up because I remember when I worked with children when I was in RBT, one mom was like, if you don't behave, I'm gonna call the cops. It was like the same thing. She's like, and they're gonna take you. And then she's like, no, mom, they're gonna take you. I was like, well, that's fine. If they take me, like, it's like they can take me. And it was that same game of like, they'll take someone, but they'll
yeah,
take you.
yeah,
That's funny.
it's funny. But I just think back on it and it's wild. So,
Uh,
origins of El Cucuy. So, he's also known as El Coco in other parts of the world.
mm-hmm.
Apparently, the stories originated from Spain and Portugal, and they describe him as a mythical ghost like monster equivalent to the boogeyman. There's a female version who is referred to as Cuca. So, according to my research, it can also Coco can also mean head in Spanish. Like I think it's a slang term. And then there's versions of the story where he eats children. And he, in that story, he might just like immediately eat the child when he finds them. And then other versions of the story, he just kidnaps them or maybe takes away the spirit of the child. And he's described as a hairy monster who hides in closets or beds or lives in the mountains in a cave. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. That sounds a lot like I feel like Sasquatch, but
Yeah.
except without the taking children. So I'm like, I wonder.
Yeah.
That's really funny. So El Cucuy and the next one that we have coming up is the Chupacabra. But I used to get those mixed up, and I'm
Yeah.
like, are they the same? Are they one and the same? Is it maybe they're talking about the same person? I'm like,
Yeah, same here. Like that's I guess whenever I was thinking about El Cucuy, I was imagining the visual of El Chupacabra. And from what I was able to find online, I don't think there's an actual like story connected to El Chupacabra unless I don't know. I don't know. Do you have one, Val? Do you know of any story?
No, so okay, so what I remember from growing up and my dad telling us legends and stories, El Chupacabra, so El is a male verb for him, so El Chupacabra, and then chupa means suck, and then cabra means goat, like the suck goat,
The
or like
goat
it was like a
sucker.
demon that like the goat sucker,
Yeah.
yeah, a Chupacabra, and I guess like farmers would complain that somebody was like killing like their herd, and like it was kind of like an animal that would come, kind of like a wolf but like a bigger animal, and it would like suck dry their goats or their sheep. It would suck them dry of like blood. But in my mind I'm like, oh, like that's like a vampire, like they're the ones that drink blood. But it was like El Chupacabra wouldn't just come for animals. If he could get you, like he would get you and he would just suck you dry of your blood. So that's what I remember about hearing about El Chupacabra, but it was mostly like a wild animal that was just like bloodthirsty and he would just suck your blood. And like it was like don't let him get like his hands on you and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But that's what I remember hearing about El Chupacabra because El Cucuy was like he'll just take you.
Hmm.
I'm like okay, and the Chupacabra was like no, he'll like suck you dry of blood.
Hmm.
But to me, that just kind of sounded like a vampire, except that vampires had giant castles in Romania, and if you were like a Twilight star, then you were just glowy. I don't know.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
don't know.
Um, that's so funny. A Twilight Star. Sorry. um, yeah, no, I didn't remember ever hearing any actual stories about it. I remember hearing about it like in middle school. Like little kids
Mm.
talking about it. I was always curious because I've heard rumors of it being connected to Native American culture, which maybe that would be like something that we could have a guest on to talk about that and see if there's like any connections there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say the
Yeah.
word because like I live in the Appalachian Mountains and I don't want to summon anything, but like it's possible it could be the word that starts with skin and ends with Walker. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't want to like provoke anything, but I don't know. I've heard rumors about that. So
Yes, and then this was actually super interesting. So I did a camp once in the summer and I got to connect with a few Native American girls.
okay.
And it was really cool because we were all in high school, but here we were like talking about like scary stories. But they told me about like whistling at night.
Yes.
And apparently you're not supposed to whistle at night because it could summon spirits.
Hmm.
And I was just like, that's crazy because I'm Mexican and like we do that all the time.
We're just
I was like,
happy.
oh. Yeah. So I was like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, noted. But I guess if you do that, you can summon bad spirits. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
huh, that's really interesting. I didn't know about that.
I've heard that living here too. And like some other things that I've heard as well, which is like literally there's a forest like right outside my window, so I'm like just scared looking out the window. But apparently, if you hear your name, no, you didn't. Like you just don't acknowledge it. Like you do not respond. You do not act scared. You just pretend like you are going on about your day. Or like if you hear your own voice, like that's a thing here too. Like I don't know, it's super crazy. I haven't gotten super deep into the folklore here of the
Hmm.
Appalachian Mountains, but I know there's all kinds of crazy stuff because my fiance's from North Carolina, so he has all kinds of crazy stories. Yeah, so a few more notes on El Chupacabra. So in Puerto Rico, they describe him as
Mm.
a reptilian and alien like creature, which is really interesting because in the southwestern part of United States, it can be described as a scrawny dog with scraggly hairs, which is
Hmm.
like I've seen pictures on Google of like what people think it might be, which I mean looking at it honestly it just could be like a stray dog or something. But I don't know.
Yeah, something.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you have any
Yeah.
final thoughts before we move on to our next topic.
Me neither. Other than like El Chupacabra and El Cucuy, I feel like, see, this is where my reasonable brain was like, well, if you have a gun, like, what's stopping you from taking them down? Like,
True.
La Llorona sounds different because I'm like,
Because
she's
she's a
kind of like
ghost.
this demon-esque woman. Yeah, I'm like, you
Yeah.
can't shoot her. But this Cucuy and Chupacabra, I'm like, that doesn't sound so bad. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
I'll
but
take them.
yeah, growing. Yeah, I'm like, I can take those. Yeah, I'm like, I like my odds. I like my
Oh
odds.
my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah, honestly, I just don't even know if I believe them. To like I just feel
Hmm.
like the last two I could see not being real or just being a story that got out of hand. Like maybe it was just like some man that was kidnapping people. Or I don't know, maybe it was
Mm.
Sasquatch or I don't know. Like I feel like it could just be a rumor that got out of hand whereas like La Llorona, I could totally see that happening. But also I believe in ghosts. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I guess whatever you want to believe in, that's your prerogative. All right, so now we're going to move on to the next section of today's episode, which I am very freaking excited about, which is the New Mexico specific ghost stories.
Yes.
So New Mexico is super historical, but in such a unique way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one of these days we can do its own episode of just New Mexico history in general. But one of the biggest things that I've heard about throughout our history is the fact that the border crossed us. So I don't remember all the details. I'm not a historian, but I remember learning about the Gadsden Purchase and how at one point we were part of Mexico. We were just considered northern Mexico. We were all connected to Arizona and California. And then eventually, as time went on, the U.S. bought more land and we became part of the United States. And so that's where super interesting history like Billy the Kid comes into play. And just like a lot of weird Wild West stories start to happen. And so I feel like because of all of this crazy, violent history, it tends to be a hot spot for ghosts because a lot of traumatic things happen there. So one of the stories that I want to specifically talk about is the Double Eagle restaurant, or there's technically two restaurants inside. So there's the Double Eagle, which is like this outer part of the restaurant, and then there's Pepper's, which is in this little courtyard inside of the Double Eagle. But they kind of function as one restaurant. They have one kitchen. And this restaurant sits in Old Mesilla, which is a big part of the Wild West. That's where Billy the Kid was almost hung right before he escaped. And he was held in one of the jails there. So if you ever go to visit, you should totally go look into all that history. So anyways, the restaurant, the Double Eagle, it used to be a house. And it was owned by a wealthy Mexican family. And there was a boy who was in this wealthy Mexican family who fell in love with the maid. And the mom found out about it, and she didn't like that. And so she told him he needs to stop seeing the maid, and he needs to stop messing around with her because she has a wealthy Mexican woman back at home that she was going to have an arranged marriage with for him. So time goes on. He doesn't stop messing around with the maid. And one day, the mom walks in to the bedroom and she finds them having some relations. And the mom gets extremely upset and she grabs whatever is nearby that she could find. And it ended up being a pair of scissors. I don't know if maybe somebody was sewing or something like that. Maybe that's why they were laying there. She grabs a pair of scissors. She starts stabbing the maid. And in her fit of rage, the son gets caught in the crosswires and she accidentally starts stabbing him too, and he ends up passing away. So after this, mom goes crazy because she is grieving her son and feels bad for the fact that she is the one who killed him, and the house gets sold. As time goes on, different owners, different things that they want to use this place for, and eventually it becomes the Double Eagle restaurant. When you walk into this restaurant, first of all, it's absolutely gorgeous. They have maintained the history in this restaurant. There is all kinds of gorgeous and beautiful paintings. There's statues and really elegant looking, like old-fashioned furniture. It's just gorgeous. And apparently the maid and the son still haunt this restaurant to this day. So that's the main basis of the story. There was an episode about this restaurant on Ghost Adventures. So if you're interested, definitely go watch that because it's super interesting. I actually know a few people who have worked at that restaurant, and they've told me some interesting stories where like the chairs will randomly pull out, or like they'll be rolling silverware and they like leave silverware on the table and then the silverware will just like randomly fall over, like that kind of a thing. So I find that interesting. I do have my own story and I will tell that here in a second, but I feel like I've been yapping. So Val, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah. So actually, I've been to the Double Eagle several times, and peppers is super delicious. The first time I went to the Double Eagle, I was in high school and I was there for a military dinner. So I was part of NJROTC, which is Navy ROTC for the high school program, and we were having a dinner. And it was hosted by the ROTC program at the college level at NMSU. And so we're all in uniform, we're all dressed up, we're all having dinner, and I love me some dessert. So I was like eating my dessert, and all of a sudden I see a little girl running
No
around in a
way.
red dress. Yes,
Oh
and
my
so
gosh.
we're all dressed up, so it just makes sense that this little girl would be dressed up. She's not out here looking like in a t-shirt and like some crazy hair. Like she is in a beautiful little red dress and she's running around and she's like going under the table, and I was literally like, someone come get your child. Like who left their child? Like hello, excuse
Where
me.
are your
And so
parents?
I'm more of, yes, where are your parents? Like, sir, come get your daughter. But still, like, I'm looking around and I'm seeing, like, is there like a fancy, like, woman dressed up or somebody that could look like, is this your kid? So I'm literally like kind of concerned because at some point, like, I'm still eating my dessert. I'm still like seeing this little girl. And I'm like, is anybody like else seeing this?
Mhm.
And like, is it just me? And eventually I see her like run into the kitchen, which really did like raise a flag for
You're
me
like,
because I'm like, okay, like
she's
she
gonna get
definitely should
burned.
not be in there.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So then I like turn to my friend and I'm like, "Did you see that little girl?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "There's a little girl in a red
Oh.
dress running around. Like, did you not see that?" I'm like, "Did you like make it make sense? Did you not see this?" And he's like, "No, Val, like you're tripping. Eat your dessert." And I'm like, "What the heck?" And then later, after everybody left because we were the cadets, we stayed behind and we helped clean up.
Mhm.
And then that's when things got spooky because I was telling some of the staff, I'm like, did anybody see the little girl? She ran into the kitchen. And they're like, no, we didn't see that at all. And then they started telling us stories. And then told us like the story of a little girl that was there. I think she died. She got sick and she died, but the mom was like grieving. And they showed us a portrait. And I was like,
That was her.
my God, like that was her.
Oh
Yes.
my
So you
god.
guys should definitely look up the Double Eagle, and they actually have a ghost tour, so it's free, and then you can get a drink, but it's free to go and they'll give you a tour. But they have the portrait of the little girl, and I was like, oh my God. Like after that, I just wanted to leave. I'm like, someone drive me home because I can't. I'm like, I can't do this
Yeah.
anymore. But I was so scared because it's like I saw it and then they showed me a picture and I was like,
Mhm.
what in the world?
That's
And
crazy.
that's what happened there. Yeah.
Oh, that's so crazy. And like I know so many people who've told me stories and I'm like, okay, like it has to be real cuz like like I trust you. You wouldn't lie to me. And then like the other people that maybe I don't even know that well, I'm like, why would they lie to me? You know? So it's just like kind of
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And then I have my own story, which I've told this story to Val before. But on my 16th birthday, I don't know why, but for some reason I wanted to have like a spooky themed birthday, like in the middle of March. And
Okay.
first I went to the Double Eagle with my mom and my brother, and then after that I did
Mm-hmm.
like a fun did we actually do like a sleepover? Or, I don't even know. I don't know if anybody slept over, but I remember you were there and we watched Paranormal Activity. Do you
Mm,
remember that?
I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had like a scary movie night at my house. Anyways, moving on. So we went to the Double Eagle, and like I said, the Double Eagle itself is like really fancy. I don't know which ones, but there's actually some presidents who have dined there before and celebrities and stuff like that. But I didn't want to put my mom out or anything like that. And honestly, like, I love a good burger, so we ate at Pepper's instead. And even though we were in Peppers, you're allowed to walk around. You can explore the restaurant. Like, they don't get mad at you for looking around. And so, me and my mom, we went to the room where the murder happened in. And the first thing that I can say about it is, like, I could not walk into that room. The air felt heavy and thick
Mm-hmm.
and cold. Like, I don't know why, but I just could not step foot into the actual room. So I just kind of stayed there by the doorway, and my mom walked around. And you can look up pictures of what this room looks like online. And there's 2 chairs in the corners of the room. And apparently they've tried to reupholster these chairs over and over and over again. And no matter what keeps happening is it looks as if there's an imprint of pants on one and a skirt on the other. And apparently some people have said that after they've sat down in the chairs, they would have nightmares that night. So I thought that was also super interesting. Anyways, my mom is walking around the room, and this room still has a door on it. And behind the door, there is this picture with a newspaper clip, like article clipped underneath it. So my mom was reading this newspaper article to me, and it says something along the lines of, in this picture is the family who purchased the house after the murder occurred. When the picture was taken, the camera broke, and when they went to develop the film, not only did they realize that there are 2 ghosts in the pictures, which you can see the ghosts in the pictures, but they also realized that it was the 13th picture on the roll of the film. So my mom's reading this out loud to me, and when she says the number 13, the lights go out. And I ran back to my table, and I was screaming, and my brother's just, like, eating his food, and then he's like, what happened? And I go over there, I was like, the lights went out, and he was like, no, and I'm like, yes. And so we were, like, trying to think about it, and, like, maybe somebody is, like, in there, or, like, can see us, and there's cameras, and, like, they're, you know, turning the lights off, or whatever. We're, like, trying to rationalize it, and we're just talking about it, and then I wanted to finish what was said at the end of the article, so I went back with my brother later on, and he finished reading it for me. But at the end of the meal, we got back to our table, and the server was like, oh, you said today was your birthday, right? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, how old are you turning? And I was like, 16. And she was like, oh, okay, that makes sense then. The ghosts were right around your age when they died, so they were probably just messing around with you. And in my head, I'm like, oh, that's nice. Like,
Yeah, like, haha,
fun.
that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly the room that you're talking about. And yes, like, to add to what you were saying, the room there does feel extremely dense. Like, it just feels weird. Like, I genuinely feel like I'm stepping into some type of, like, vortex.
Yeah.
I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah. And there's bathrooms
But
right next
the
to
two
it, too. The bathrooms are creepy as well.
Yeah, I definitely do think that people should go to the Double Eagle just because it's first like a historical landmark. I think there's like an important document that was signed. Maybe that's where the Gadsden Purchase was signed.
Really?
There's on the wall, there's like writing, like frames and stuff. So I don't know if those are the originals. I don't know that they probably are, but it's a very historical landmark. Also, it's interactive because, like you said, you're allowed to walk and like see the premises and take pictures. And there are plaques from like when like reporters have come in and done like investigative paranormal work and stuff. But yes, that room in particular is just so off-putting. And yeah, like I can't be in there too long either because even the temperature, like for some reason,
Yeah.
it's just
It's
so
a
much
little
cooler.
colder. Yeah.
It's like a little fridge. You're like, ew. Like I'm like, that's
Yeah.
how I feel. I'm like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah. Well, and then there's like these
But
giant paintings in there, and like just all paintings, the eyes follow you, and so it's just creepy, like being in there. So that's our story about the Double Eagle and the backstory of it. Another Messia staple. I don't know too many details about this story, but I have heard about the witch's grave. So apparently there was a witch who lived in Mesilla, and I don't know what she died of, how she died, when she died, but when she did pass away, people were so scared that she was going to be able to come back to life that they poured this giant block of cement on her grave. And anytime there's cracks that appear in the grave, the people of Mesilla will go and fill those cracks because they're so scared of her. And apparently, if you lay on top of the grave, something really bad will happen to you. Some people have reported getting diagnosed with cancer after. Some people have had like crazy illnesses or, I don't know, like bad dreams and that kind of a thing. My brother actually went there with his friends because he used to be crazy and go ghost hunting at night in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And I don't know if he laid on it, but he said one of his friends did, and he said nothing happened to him. So that's good, but I
Okay.
don't know. Kind of an interesting story. I don't know if you've heard about that one.
Yeah, so I've heard about the witch's grave and I've just never been there. Or maybe I haven't, I forgot. I'm like, that's very likely. But I just never knew how to ask. My dad loves ghost stories. He loves like especially like old western kind of stuff. So I'm pretty sure if I would have asked my dad like, "Hey dad, let's go check this out." He would
Yeah.
have like, "Let's do it."
Yeah.
But I just didn't know where it was. I still don't even know where it's like located, so I just never went
Yeah.
because of that. Otherwise, I'd have gone. You would have seen me there being like, "Hey."
Same. I remember
But
one time I
yeah.
tried to look it up and I couldn't, like, because I was nearby. I was in the cemetery or like near the cemetery, and I was like, well, while I'm here, like, let me
Hmm.
see if I could try to find it, and I couldn't. So I don't know. Kind of interesting, but I will only go in the daytime. Like, I don't know how these people go at night. That's crazy work. Like, I I don't have
Yeah.
enough guts to do that. All right, that one was a quick one, but we'll move on to our next one, which is the Doñana County Courthouse. So this one was also
Hmm.
on an episode of Ghost Adventures, and I don't know too much about it. I actually found out about it when watching Ghost Adventures, so I'm gonna actually go to this webpage and kind of read a little bit from here, just so you guys have some information on it that's not like super butchered. So this is one of our oldest buildings in Las Cruces. It was built in 1937 and it served as a
Hmm.
county courthouse until the 1980s. They also offer ghost tours there, and they believe that some of the former inmates still haunt the building. And it's one of the legends says that in the 1930s there was a waitress named Mary Waters who was found near the Amador Hotel, which is just, I want to say, a few blocks down. And she was brought into the jail because she was drunk. I guess they came back to check on her because they heard her screaming, and she was found dead with a horrified look on her face just moments later. But when
Hmm.
they did the autopsy on her, they found out that she had a ruptured kidney, and that's what they put as her cause of death. I know on the Ghost Adventures episode, somebody scratched one of the camera guys. So, yeah, that's like terrifying to me.
Yeah, I agree. So I forgot who was telling me stories about the Doñana courthouse, but it's not the first time I've heard about it. It's just not as prevalent as like La Llorona, El Cucuy, like the things you just hear over and over.
Right.
But I do remember hearing about the Doñana courthouse, and I don't remember if it was like murder or like what happened in there, but inmates still haunting the cells, or you could hear like somebody banging or like
Yeah.
hitting the cell walls, so you could hear them echo or things like that. So I was like, okay. But I've also never been to the building. I know the building you're talking
Yeah.
about, but I've also haven't had a reason to go in there.
Right.
So I've just heard those are just things that I've heard about. But yeah, it's definitely another haunted place, you guys.
Hmm.
If you guys want to go check it out, tag me, mention me, be like, this is where it's at, Val.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, I don't even know
yeah.
if it's still open. Is it? I mean, it's a very, let me look it up.
It's still standing. I know it's
Yeah.
still standing because I know it's downtown, but I have no business there, so I've just never gone to it. But yeah, definitely paranormal activity. That's definitely something you could do on your own time.
Mhm.
Like as a teenager, as a rowdy teenager with nothing to do in Las Cruces. You could definitely go ghost hunting for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, if I was a ghost, this is the other thing, you guys. This is me just being a psychologist. Like, if I was a ghost, I'd be like, I just want to leave this place. I don't know that I want to stay here. Did you know or did you see that thing where like Demi Lovato went and sang to ghosts?
Yes.
I feel like somebody needs to go give therapy to these ghosts and be like, why are you still here? Like, why? Like, what? What are you doing?
I saw a podcast where she was being interviewed by Trisha Paytas, and she was asked about that,
Mm.
and she was so embarrassed, and she was like, "Y'all, I was so stoned," and I was like, "Oh, that explains it."
That makes sense.
But
Yeah,
yeah, that's so sweet.
but
She's like, "This ghost has trauma," which probably, I think that's how ghosts become ghosts. Like, yeah.
yeah,
But I just looked it
that's
up,
funny.
and I forgot. I already mentioned this. It is open, but I think they only do like ghost tours. Like, I don't think it's a functioning courthouse anymore. But I could be wrong. I don't know. And then our last story here. This one's actually not a ghost story. It leans more into true crime. I have the book right here. So I used to work at Coas Bookstore. If you've never been, please go. Mike Beckett, if you're watching this, I don't know if you remember me, but that was one of my favorite jobs ever. I freaking loved it. There's just so many cool books in there because it's a used bookstore, but they also support local authors, one of them being Paula Moore. So if you ever have a chance to read this book, definitely look into it because it's just super cool to learn about a little bit more recent New Mexico history. I feel like when you think of New Mexico history, you either think of like the time of the conquistadores, or you think of Billy the Kid, or you think of the Wild West. You never really think about like the 90s or the 1940s, right? And so I have a whole bunch of notes in here that I'm going to pull up because I really want to do this story justice. Maybe one of these days, again, we can do a whole episode on it because it's just such an interesting story. So this woman, her name is Ovida Kugler, but everybody called her Cricket. The reason why they called her Cricket was because she often wore high heels, and so they would be able to hear her coming down just down the block because of how like clickety-clackety her heels were. She was an 18-year-old waitress who disappeared on March 31st, 1949. She disappeared one night after working at the Deluxe Cafe, which is now the Downtown Blues Cafe. So I actually didn't know that. I was looking it up today, and I saw somebody confirmed it on Reddit, and it's just crazy because I'm like, I've literally been in that building. Val, I don't know if you remember it. It's the cafe that has like all the little records. Like when you walk in, there's like a bunch of records.
Yeah,
on
we
your
went there.
hand.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's
yeah.
crazy because I'm like, oh my God, she literally worked there. So anyways, one night she was working a night shift, and she said she was going on a date, but nobody knows for sure. She was a very high-spirited girl, very social. And she also had a reputation of hanging out with some very influential people in the area. So there's a lot of different theories about what could have happened to her, or whether she was hanging out with like multiple different people throughout the night. But after her disappearance, her body was found 17 days later. It was buried in the desert of Mesquite, which is a town about 10 to 15 minutes south of Las Cruces. Her body was found by rabbit hunters. And to this day, nobody knows for sure who the true killer was. But it's heavily speculated that the sheriff in the area, his full name is Alfonso Lucchini Apodaca, but people called him Happy. So Happy Apodaca is like a really weird and interesting man. He had a reputation of abusing his power. He would say a lot of offensive things all the time. And apparently he's one of the people that Cricket hung out with. One thing I do remember from this book was there was some speculation that there was like, I don't know if mob connections is the right term, but like apparently gambling was a big problem in the area at this time. Like if this case never happened, Las Cruces could have very well been another Las Vegas. So after this case, it's kind of interesting because New Mexico kind of like pulled back a little bit with the level that they were getting to when it came to gambling and stuff like that. And so they suspect that she was probably involved in some of these crowds. Anyways, one of the crazy offensive things that Happy Apodaca said when he was on the scene, he was one of the first on the scene after her body was reported. And when he found the body, he had like a stick in his hand and he lifted her skirt and he said, "Yup, that's her all right." And I remember reading that and I was just like, that's absolutely asinine. Like, that's just crazy. But that was the 50s, right? Like people just said crazy stuff like that, and there was corruption, and he was involved in politics. Like, I don't know. It's just crazy. Not only was this a really sad part of this, the fact that he was, being so disrespectful to her body at the scene of the crime, but the investigation itself was very mishandled. There was suspicions of tampering on Happy Apodaca's part. The autopsy was not being handled correctly. And unfortunately, there was a Black World War II veteran by the name of Wesley Byrd who was wrongly accused and tortured by Happy Apodaca, along with a man named Hubert Beasley, who was a state police chief, and two state policemen by the name of Sally Salazar, that was his nickname. I don't know what his first name was, it just has initials there. And Carlos Salas. And they tortured him at the site. I'm not going to say what the torturing entailed because it's honestly gruesome and really sad and disrespectful. Again, I highly recommend reading this book. You could probably find the information of how he was tortured online if you're really that curious, but it's really sad. He made it out alive after this torturing incident. Happy Apodaca was found guilty for this specific crime of torturing him, but he only served 3 years, and he was released early on good behavior. After he was released, he went on to continue a career in politics, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe he became a magistrate. I don't remember for sure, so don't quote me on that one. But another interesting fact about this case is there was an NFL player who was a person of interest in this case. His name was Jerry Nuzum. And apparently he was spotted speaking to Cricket Coogler that night and might have even been friends with her. So, yeah, super crazy, interesting story. Yeah, just wild.
Yeah, no, it is. And I mean, the more you dig and the more you look, there's stories like the Toy Box Killer. There's like a bunch, and maybe we can drop them down so you guys can look them up. But yeah, I mean, in one end, there's like the folklore where it's like imaginative and it's like maybe it happened, and then there's like the real life where it's like, oh, like, well, most of them I feel like are real life. For example, thing in what is it, the Double Eagle that was historically based. The thing with Cricket, the news articles, like it happened, and there's things like you can hear her footsteps or her heels like run downtown. So that's something to think about, especially like when I used to live there, we'd go to like the bars and stuff like that, and then you're like downtown and you're like, oh my gosh, like what's that clicking sound? And it,
Well,
it's like,
actually, I don't know if it was necessarily like a ghost of clicking heels. I think that's what they called her back in the day because she always worked. Yeah. Like, I don't know, maybe. Like, that's a possibility.
So,
but yeah, no, I think that was more so her nickname. And actually, it's kind of interesting. Whenever I was reading the book, I remember hearing like all kinds of different nicknames. I'm like, Happy, Sally, Cricket, and I'm like, y'all just use your names. Yeah. So, but I guess that was like a common thing back in the day. Yeah, so again, I just thought that was kind of an interesting thing to include in there. If y'all want to do a whole separate episode, we could get really deep in that, and I could do some more research and give a little bit more factual evidence there. But we're going to kind of pan back over to the superstition and the spooky and the ghost kind of things. And we're going to end the episode with some popular Latino superstitions. So we talked a little bit about lechuzas. We talked a little bit about duendes. One thing we haven't talked about, which is something that I have heard about that our culture definitely believes in, is mal de ojo. So, Val, I don't know if you want to talk about your, like, if you have any thoughts or information on what mal de ojo is.
yeah, so mal de ojo basically means evil eye, and basically it's like when you pass judgment on someone. So mal de ojo is something that someone can do to you or something that you can do to someone, but basically it's just like looking at them with envy or wishing evil upon them. And I think it goes back to like energy. I do want to say like I believe in some of it, but like energy, you're casting bad energy on that person or like on a kid or like just on someone of like, oh, like I wish evil on that person, or like, oh, I wish evil something would happen to them, or just I wish them a bad day. And like those things can like rack up and like yeah, like basically stack up,
Like in
where
your
like you can
body.
go get like, yeah, like a cleansing done where they'll rough the evil off of you. and it's basically evil that's been passed upon you. And I feel like energetically, bless you, energetically, the way that goes is like just a way you can wish someone a good day. Like, hey, dude, I hope you have a good day. Or like, oh, just what a beautiful, sweet lady. Like, I hope she has a good day. And you can put like good energy on someone. Maybe it has an effect on them. Maybe it doesn't. You can also do like the same, like, and just wish badly upon people, which I hope no one does. But just that energy, whether it's like karmic, you're adding, like, I feel like you're adding like a weight to that person. Yeah. I remember one day I got like a cleansing done with an egg, and they like rub it all over your body, and it's supposed to like absorb like the negative energy, and then you crack it, and then you can see like the yolk. Yeah, so then you break it, and then the yolk is supposed to be like super red
Red?
from all of like,
That's
yes. So I
crazy.
remember they cracked it. Yeah, they cracked it and the yolk was red, and I was like, is there like light here that like, I
Yeah.
was like, I try to be
I've
so
never had
logical.
one
I'm like, is there like
done.
a,
I
no?
want to though.
Yeah. I don't know why I got one done. I was like with this lady, she was like doing therapy, and she's like, "Oh, do you want a cleansing done?" And I was like, "What kind of cleansing are you like?" I was like, "I guess." And she's like, "It's free." And I was like,
Yeah.
"I guess." So she did it, and the yolk was red, and I was like, "Hmm, that's interesting." I was
Yeah.
like, "Hmm." I was like, "Is there like a special
Well,
light in
I
here?"
know like
But
the I don't know exactly what it's called, but there's like these little like white parts in the egg. Apparently if it makes a certain pattern, it means different things. And then I've also heard that
mm,
you're not supposed to look at it directly. Like I think you're supposed to look at it like in the cup, you're supposed to look at it from the side. And then I
mm-hmm.
also heard that you're supposed to flush it down the toilet. But I don't again, I've never had one done, so I don't know exactly what the protocol is. Technically, egg limpias are connected to Santeria, which is really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm like, dang. Wow, it's weird. But yeah, so I don't know. I think energetically, I just believe you should always wish well upon people, even if they're mean. It's like, I don't know why you're in this place, what got you to this place, why you're mean, but good luck, dude. Good luck.
Right. Yeah. Superstition that I have heard about is you're not supposed to put your purse or wallet on the floor because the thought is that your money
Mm,
will run away and you'll struggle financially.
mm.
And so I try my best not to do that because I don't know, I kind of believe in
Okay.
it and I'm just like I guess in my head I'm like whether I believe in it or not, like what does it hurt to just like go out of my way to be extra cautious? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I haven't heard of that.
Oh yeah. Or like another one is like sweeping people's feet. Like apparently, first of all, apparently
Mm,
that's disrespectful, and apparently it's bad luck. So yeah,
mm.
I've heard that one. What else? Salt for protection. I feel like that's pretty common culturally across the globe of like throwing salt over your left shoulder, that kind of a thing. This next one's
Mm-hmm.
not super ghosty, but since we're on the topic of New Mexico, I figured we talk about aliens.
My gosh, New Mexico. Yes. I have my own story because guys, I swear, I swear that I've seen UFOs in New Mexico. But Roswell, if you've never been to New Mexico, Roswell, that place is themed like a little freaking UFO party. Their
Yeah.
McDonald's has UFOs. Like it is all about aliens there, and it's so funny because it's in our state, Area 51. It's in our state, so
Yeah. It's not
yeah.
that far from Las Cruces either. I think it's like 2 hours away,
Mm-mm.
maybe, or maybe
Yeah.
3. But I want to hear your story.
Oh, okay. Well, I was camping, and so one of the really cool things, I did a lot of camping when I was in high school, and I was out in Cochiti Lake, New Mexico, and I was out with friends. I did Navy ROTC, so a lot of our training revolved around like knot tying and learning how to sail. So we were sailing that summer, and I was out with a friend, and we were kind of just enjoying nature. Like one thing that I do love about New Mexico is that it is not very polluted. So we got a full night of stars. And so we were just watching the stars. And so we were kind of just like, wow, is this what people sat down when there was no Wi-Fi or like nothing to do? They just sat and like made stories about the stars, like constellations and whatnot. And so we were really just like in awe, just like looking at the stars. I was like, wow, like we don't get to do this very often. And in seeing those stars, we saw three little lights line up, like stacked on top of each other, like a triangle. and they were just like glowing.
And
And
this
we
was
were
before
like, what is that?
drones, too. So it wasn't
Yes,
drones. This was
yes.
like, what, 15
Yeah,
years ago?
so oh my God. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So we were just trying to figure out what those were, because like we were seeing the stars and like you can see other lights, like maybe like, oh, that's an airplane. But this just looked really weird and really abnormal. And I think I tried to get like a picture of it, but just the way that the phones were made back then, like it just looked like it was just bad.
Yeah.
But it was just three dots, just like one, two, three. It literally looked like a triangle, and they were like buzzing, like zooming, like just like hovering in a really weird way. That was the other thing, is that it wasn't like flying where it was
Yeah.
like in a trajectory and it was like moving up like a line, like an airplane would, like in a line. It was just like buzzing, like it
Yeah.
was just there, like hovering. And we just saw these things hover and we were like, well, like, what is that? Like, is it a satellite? Like, why is it three though? Like, it was three things just hovering.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, we just saw them zoom out, like, literally, like, we just saw them, like, whoop, and they were gone. And we were like trying to look for them. We were like, is it gonna come back? Like, what was that? And I was with a friend, so I was like, you are my witness because I did not make that up.
Yeah.
Like, you were with me and you saw it too. And we were like, we just didn't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just me and her that saw this.
That's
But
crazy.
I was like, all right,
Oh my
like,
gosh.
I know I saw something.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like a UFO, but I know I saw something.
Yeah. So I have a similar story, and I can't remember if I've told you this story before. So imagine you're like driving to like our parents' house. Like you're like imagine like you're okay, so I'm giving Val directions cuz I don't remember the name of the street. But Val, like imagine you're going in the direction of like the golf course. Okay? And
Okay.
like you're like about to
Right,
like
yeah.
go to the neighborhood that our parents are in. So I'm driving down there one day after work. I think this was when I was working at Applebee's, I want to say, or maybe Uno. And I am just like singing my little songs, like enjoying the drives. Like one of the things that I miss about New Mexico is how open everything is. So at night, you just get to take these like really peaceful, beautiful drives. And so I'm on my way home and I decided to take like that back road so I don't turn right away into the neighborhood. I passed that turn and I was gonna go on the other street. And whenever I'm going that way, I see three lights in a row and they're like blinking. Okay? Like as if it was like the bottom of a little like flying saucer, but like I don't see a shape. I just literally just see the lights. And I was like, what? Like, no way. Like, no way. And I'm just, like, looking at it, and I'm driving, and I'm looking at it, and I'm driving. So then I'm like, I gotta, like, chase this. Like I gotta, like, I have to investigate. So then I start driving towards the golf course, because I'm like, I need to find this. And so I'm getting ready to, like, pull out my phone so I can record it. And as I'm driving, the mountain, I think it's Doñana Mountain, like gets in the way of the lights. So I guess the lights were like behind the mountain, I want to say. So it gets in the way of the lights, and as I continue driving to pass it so that I could see them on the other side of the mountain, they were gone. Like there wasn't anything there. And I was like, what? Like no way. No way I just saw a UFO. Like that is just crazy. Like and then it sucks because, like, I feel like they know. Like, they know that you're, like, about to get your phone or something. You know what I mean? Because, like, what are the odds that it would disappear? Yeah, like, I don't know. It's just crazy. They're like, she has a device.
Yeah. But I think if you ask anybody in New Mexico, and I don't want to say Las Cruces, I would say New Mexico, a lot of people will say they've had some sort of like encounter or seen something. And the thing is that it's not like airplanes have like a linear trajectory. It's like they fly and they're like following a line. It's not like they're zigzagging.
No, these were just
Like,
floating.
no, they're flying.
Mine were just floating,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So then I was just like, whoa, like that's odd. Like I've never seen something fly like that. It just looks odd to the human eye, especially when you've seen airplanes, you know, like even when they land in a line. It's not like they're like
Right.
boo, 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 boo,
Right.
you know? And so, yeah.
They're either flying or
I
falling.
think
There's no hovering. Well, but
Yes.
nowadays,
Yes. So
I mean, nowadays, like I
the
said, we
with
have
drones.
drones. One of my favorite shows that I watch is Jersey Shore Vacation, Family Vacation. And they played a prank on the girls when they were drunk. And they hired this team of people who had drones. And they made it look like there were aliens. And the girls were drunk and like out of their minds and freaking out. And I'm like, dang. Like, what if that's what it was back then, but like maybe the aliens just have that technology and we don't? Like, I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would love to know what those were. I know it was something. I know that. I just, it's like, maybe it was just, the military
Yeah.
just testing some stuff out. But I don't know. So it's just like, I don't know. I just know I saw something.
Yeah. It's
Um,
crazy.
yeah, it is crazy.
Well, I think that is all I have. I do want to give a little disclaimer because last week we said we were going to do an episode on cognitive distortions. We have filmed that. We just need to edit it and put it up. But we wanted to give you guys a little palate cleanser, make this a little bit fun, especially since we're in spooky season. So we're putting this episode out first. And then on our next episode, we are also going to go into the culture of Dia de los Muertos. So
Yeah.
that'll be our next one. And then after that, that will be the cognitive distortions one. So it's a little bit out of order, but that's okay. We want to bring you guys all the fun things. Not just psychology and like serious stuff. We want to also talk about just funny little stories and history and things that we love about the way we grew up in New Mexico.
Yeah. So we will see you guys later, but I'm sending you so much love from Washington. And same thing with Jenny. She's in Knoxville. So just sending you guys so much love.
Yeah.
And we will catch you next time.
Yeah. Before we go, don't forget, where do we find us?
Okay, yes. So you guys, you can find me on Instagram at Mayday, and then you guys can find us at Conscious Comadres. We
Yes.
are on Instagram now, so follow us there. And then I've been posting consistently on Deep Naked Thoughts. So it's definitely something that expands more than just psychology. So definitely check out the channel, and I would love to host you guys and have you guys there.
Yes.
What else, Jenny?
And then you guys can find me at the.jenny.b. Jenny is spelled Jeni. I think that's pretty much it. And as always, we want to end with a quote from our old principal, which we talked about in the last episode. But again, you're not going to see that until like next month. So
next month, yeah.
We'll just end with the quote, and then we'll let you guys watch in the future to see what the origins of that quote is. But the quote is, you can make it a great day or not.
Make it a great day or not.
The choice is yours.
Is yours. Yeah.
All right. Bye, comadres. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye. We'll see you later.